Unblock your abundance. Humans are multidimensional beings composed of many parts and with connections to many dimensions. The human as well as the universe is far more complex than scientists would have you believe. As physics is the science of the physical realm and its laws and functions, metaphysics is the science of all realms, their laws and functions. From a metaphysical viewpoint, the physical world that we see before us is the third dimension. There are other physical dimensions ranging from the first to the ninth dimensions and then many more above the ninth which are not so much physical dimensions but dimensions of consciousness, and many dimensions below the first which are dimensions of material. The material in these lowest dimensions is in a state of fertile chaos and is yet to be formed into physicality. The 9 physical dimensions are where consciousness creates order with material, where consciousness actively creates universes and beings with the energies and forces contained in the lowest material dimensions. The lowest dimension and the highest are actually one and the same. At the deepest level of reality called the ultimate reality or the absolute where all is one, before any differentiation, the two forces meet and truly are one. This state is often referred to as the void, as it has no form and no movement, just perfect balance. All of creation is contained within this void in a dormant state. From the ultimate reality the first differentiation between active and passive forces occurs, creating consciousness, the active or yang/male side of creation, and material, the passive or yin/female side of creation. From these two differentiations of the absolute, everything is created. Consciousness molds material into form and incarnates into this form. It is a constant sexual play where the female material substance yearns to be molded by the male consciousness and the male yearns to enter the female and mold her substance into form. It is not that the female forces or material substance lack consciousness but that her consciousness is completely passive or yin. The male side is totally active or yang and is therefore given the broad term of consciousness which implies an active state. These conscious forces could also be called spiritual forces, but as we do not want to negate the spirituality of the material forces we will use the word consciousness. The 9 physical dimensions previously described are places made up of conscious forces and material forces. Matter has been formed by consciousness into certain frequencies of vibration. For instance, the 9th dimensional material vibrates at a much faster rate than the second. The slower the vibration of the matter, the more dense the physicality of the dimension will be. As consciousness vibrates very fast, it is much harder for it to incarnate into the lower dimensions and it has less control of the physical substance there. In the 3rd dimension we need to eat food and drink water to gain energy for our physical body's survival and hence the need for the food chain. In some higher dimensions, energy and sustenance for the physical body can be obtained directly from the atmosphere. The 9 dimensions are separated from one another by certain structures of energy, but physically they can be in the same place. For example, the Earth has an expression of itself in each dimension. These different dimensional expressions of Earth are all in the same place and are all a part of the same Earth. A multidimensional being could go to and explore Earth in all of the dimensions, but humans can only see and explore her 3rd dimensional aspect because we have a 3rd dimensional body. We could experience these other levels while in our physical body by cultivating our subtle perception. If we could raise our body's vibration to a high enough level, we could then enter the 4th dimension and explore there. Although the dimensions are somewhat separate, they do interact and are all vital for each other. It's like a tower without the foundations you cannot have a 1st level, and without the 1st level you cannot have the 2nd. So the dimensions are places where beings can incarnate into matter and live a life in the particular dimension that the chosen body is made for. Many extraterrestrials have bodies that can move through dimensions such as from the 4th to the 6th. The 5th would be this its natural resting place, but they have the ability to densify or lighten their body to move up or down to the 6th or 4th dimensions at will. Because a being is able to move between dimensions does not mean they are more evolved than a human. Their body is certainly more versatile and can do many amazing things that a human cannot, but this is due to their incarnation into a multidimensional body. The human is a being of consciousness which transcends all dimensions and who has incarnated into a human body for a short period of time. Its next incarnation may be here again or in a much higher dimension or a lower one, or maybe it will not incarnate again. The point here is that higher dimension does not mean better, it is just a different place to incarnate and leads to different experiences. The plot gets thicker as although you are incarnated in the third dimension, here you also have parts of yourself in many other dimensions at the same time. What you know of yourself is very limited due to a lack of incarnation and disconnection from interdimensional perception. You are a huge consciousness which has unlimited power to create whatever you want, and you have parts of yourself in many dimensions simultaneously. You have only brought with you a portion of yourself and have left behind much of your consciousness in the dimensions above 9. The high dimensions of consciousness contain different levels of awareness and spiritual powers. You may have also incarnated in other bodies, other physical dimensions, and on other planets at the same time. Parts of you are probably all over the universe. At a certain level of your consciousness you are aware of all of your lives and all of yourself. The part that has incarnated here is but a tiny piece of a much larger being. The above information and much more is available firsthand to anybody who chooses to follow the path of spiritual awakening and inner alchemy.